Way back in 1836, George Yount planted some of the very first grapevines in Napa Valley near what is now aptly named Yountville. 145 years later, Christian Moex purchased this historic vineyard, which is called Napanook. Prior to this acquisition, Mr. Moex worked in Bordeaux managing his family's Bordeaux properties, which included prestigious names such as Chateau Petrus, La Fleur Petrus, and Trotanois in Pomerol. Since acquiring the Napanook Vineyard, Mr. Moex's Napa Valley Winery, which is called Dominus Estate, has become one of the premier Napa Valley wineries by employing many of the same classic winemaking and grape growing techniques that have been utilized in Bordeaux for many years. At its Napanook Vineyard, Dominus emphasizes sustainability and dry farming and has organic certification. Dry farming produces grapevines with much stronger root systems, as those roots have to struggle in search of water and nutrients. The result is lower yields with small grapes that have high skin-to-juice ratios and which produce intense concentrated fruit. This fruit, in turn, leads to wines with greater intensity and concentration than wines made from fruit that is produced from higher yields. Dominus Estate is an impressive wine and one that is extremely age-worthy. Even the vintages from the late 80s and the early 90s are still showing well if they were preserved properly. Due to the fact that Dominus has been made in the same way as many of the Bordeaux wines that are owned by Christian Moex, this is one that's very difficult to distinguish from Bordeaux in a blind tasting, particularly if you have one with some substantial age on it, such as from the late 80s or the 1990s. As a result, this is definitely a Napa Valley wine that I recommend to those of you who enjoy Bordeaux, but who have not yet warmed up to Napa Valley wines. While I was in Napa Valley, I had a chance to taste a number of vintages of Dominus Estate, including 2009, 2016, and 2020, which is the current release. I also had a chance to taste the 2021 vintage, which has not yet been released, but which will be coming out soon. I definitely recommend buying some older vintages of Dominus Estate if you can find some at a reasonable price and which have been stored properly, as this is an extremely age-worthy wine that shows beautifully with 15 or 20 years or so of age on it. With respect to the younger vintages, as much as I enjoyed the 2020 vintage, my recommendation is to wait a little while and to load up on the 2021 vintage instead. The 2021 vintage is going to be truly special, and in fact, winemaker Todd Mostero believes that it's going to be one of the best vintages of Dominus Estate ever produced. So definitely keep an eye out for that one when it comes out in a few months. Unlike most Napa Valley wineries, Dominus Estate does not sell wine directly, so you'll have to find your Dominus Estate wines in the secondary market. But be sure to shop around, as prices vary wildly, and they generally cost a little bit more than $300 for the top wine, but at some places sell it for closer to $400. So it definitely pays to shop around. If you don't want to spend $300 for a bottle of Dominus Estate, or if you have some Dominus Estate and you need a cellar defender so that you don't dig into that wine too soon, I highly recommend the Dominus Estate Napanook Vineyard. This is an outstanding wine that sells for less than $100 a bottle. This wine is not made from declassified fruit that was not good enough to make it in the top wine. Rather, this wine is a blend of fruit from blocks in the vineyard that were carefully selected for their lively fruit, soft tannins, and early maturing characteristics. So this is a wine that's designed to be enjoyed much earlier than the top wine. Notwithstanding its price, this is an extremely high quality wine and one that definitely offers better quality than many other Napa Valley wines that cost far more than this one. As with the Dominus Estate bottling, I highly recommend the 2021 vintage, which was outstanding in Napa Valley generally, and which was a very strong vintage for Dominus Estate.